Family, we got a young sister, a middle school student down there in Killeen, Texas. Our sister, 14-year-old Serenity Baker, she was stabbed to death on campus at that middle school in her neck by a fellow student. And this is just a sad, horrific set of circumstances, but there's a lot of unanswered questions in terms of this whole case, how this thing played out, what was the motives involved, but it does regard to young young girls, ages 14, both of them, I believe. And when things, these horrific, tragic events, unfold, and it revolves around, minors, they tend to, not even put the culprit's name out, and in order to keep things vague. I think, things should just be the other way around. That, when younger people, do commit these heinous acts, at least their name should be, known to the public, so we could, know more of the logistics that's going on, to the case, instead of, protecting them, they should have their names, made available to the public. Now, I got a few questions myself I want answers about, you know what I mean? Because this happened on campus, they say she was stabbed. Now, they says she was stabbed in her neck with a sharp object. But, just a sharp object, that's very vague, because I want to know, was it a knife? And, how the hell did they get a sharp object into the school? Where was the security procedures that was supposed to be implemented? Because the family, of several of these students that go to this Killeen, Texas middle school, they said that their calls for cries and calls for help have been unanswered to the school's administrative staff. They said that they got a lot of fights at this school on the uptick. They ain't got no crossing guards, and no security procedures in place, which is a bunch of nonsense. So the school, should be liable in that regard too, because if the parents have been crying out that they need this done and they turn a blind eye to it, the school is just as much on the hook for her death as this culprit, if you ask me. And some of the other questions, I want to pose is, this did happen on the campus of that middle school. So where was the school's administrative staff? Why didn't nobody diffuse this situation before it turned deadly? You know what I mean? And I also want to know what were the motives in this case, because um, and the other young woman's name, the culprit in this matter, because I want to know, did this case have racial elements, a racial component to it? Because we see that a lot of times when things are generalized, and left vague, there's, most of the times, more often than not, there's a racial component and a racial element to these sorts of cases. And they leave these racial components out as to not create an uprising. Now, I'm not saying this is the case, with this, that somebody non-black, did this to her, with a racial element and component to it. I'm just saying it's something that we certainly need to look at. Could this have been a non-black person, who done this, with a racialized component? I'm just putting my thinking cap on and looking at things from all angles and thinking about things strategically. You know what I mean? But this is certainly a unfortunate set of circumstances. Our young sister, gets taken up out of here. She had a bright, promising future ahead of her. So my condolences goes out to her friends and family. So I got the audio and the video of this, and we're gonna walk through it and talk about it how we normally do, family. Fair use.
Tonight at 6, a GoFundMe account is set up for the family of the girl who was stabbed and killed on a Killeen ISD campus. Relatives say 14-year-old Serenity Baker died after the incident at Roy J. Middle School yesterday after a classmate stabbed her. We do have a link to that on our website on kwtx.com.
School district officials and the Killeen Police Department confirmed that a fight that broke out between the two students at around 11:30 yesterday morning resulted in the deadly stabbing.
See, what was the fight over? See, I want to know the motives, and they, not specifying what this fight was over, and if it happened on school, I want to know why did none of the administrative staff, defuse the situation before it turned deadly.
Attacker was identified by police as a 14-year-old girl who was quickly taken into custody. The school was placed on lockdown, and parents rushed to reunite with kids who were taken to a nearby
Well, that's a good thing. At least they got the 14-year-old culprit in custody, but let's continue.
Church to be picked up.
Today, friends and family gathered to mourn young Serenity.
News 10's Isabella Quintanilla joins us now live from Killeen, where she attended today's vigil. Isabella.
Yes, Lauren and Gordon, I am here in the Bridgewood neighborhood here in Killeen, where just over an hour ago, this corner was filled with friends and family and classmates, all saying goodbye to young Serenity Baker. And as you can imagine, everyone was heartbroken to be here, especially so soon after. But you could really see and feel the love that everyone had for her here today. They started off with a prayer, and then some close family and friends shared a few words, kind words about Serenity, just remembering her and sharing who she was with everyone present. They then lit some candles and released.
Something that I almost forgot to add to this whole thing, family, that our young sister Serenity Baker, she put out, a cryptic message on her Facebook, just days before this. She said, they only start caring once they realize it's too late. And sadly, it's too late for our young sister, Serenity Baker. That was a very cryptic message, that she put out on her Facebook page. It makes you think in all actuality. But let's continue.
Some balloons in the air as a way to say goodbye. Family members called for an end to the violence. Serenity's aunt, Jasmine Schenkel, shared how this should never have happened.
It is. It's sad. The youth, the violence, the having to feel like you're one up and stuff. It's not worth it, because now not only has that girl going to have to deal with legal things, and she's lost part of her life. My niece is also never coming back to see any of us. It's a sad situation for everyone.
I think the aunt of our young sister Serenity Baker hit the nail right on the head with that one. Two lives is lost. Two young lives is lost, rather sadly and unfortunately. From this case. Because the person that took the life, the young girl who took the life, her life is ended. Before she ever got the chance to live it and grow. And sadly, our young sister Serenity Baker will never get to fulfill her dreams. You know what I mean? Because she had a promising bright future ahead of her, which she'll never get to see. It's just a sad, set of horrific events, that played out sadly and unfortunately. And I want to say RIP to my sister, rest in power to my sister Serenity Baker, and my condolences goes out to her friends and family. But we gotta get more aspects of this case, you know what I mean, to see to where though, why the parents, say that their calls for help to the school's administrative staff, saying that they need security mechanisms in place was falling on deaf ears. And, because if that be the case and the school was turning a blind eye to it, they just as much on the hook for our sister Serenity Baker's death as the the culprit in this case, the one that did the harming. Just my thoughts on the matter, but it's very sad and a horrific set of circumstance. And rest in power to my sister Serenity Baker. My condolences goes out to her friends and family. Peace.